Accion en Accion, a charity set up 17 years ago by Pastor Jose Antonio Galvan to cater for the city's most vulnerable, the drug addicted, the homeless, the mentally ill. Out in the middle of the desert, 10 miles south of Juarez, Vision en Accion is a place that is both shocking and humbling. The pastor, a born-again preacher, describes his charity as a human junkyard, a place of lost souls that need recycling. But with all the surrounding violence in Juarez, he also sees it as an oasis of peace and love. Pastor Galvan was himself once a drug addict and a gang member in Los Angeles, but finally cleaned himself up when he returned to Juarez back in the 1970s. He tells us that for a while he was living on the streets, a tramp. One day, in a drug-fueled rage, he attacked and hospitalized a street missionary. After this, he knew he had reached rock bottom and had to sort himself out. The pastor vowed to help people who were like his old self, those shunned by society.
I've been working for 17 years in the middle of the desert when the people with mental problems, or most of those people was rejected from there are people who nobody wants. The people who, I don't care how they get it there to have those mental problems. I'm working with ex-prostitutes, ex-addicts, dinner sniffers, table dancers, all the kind, with the people getting to the scene. I got 110 patients. My child, that's my child, not my patient, my child. And that is a mental institution, especially for the person on the street, for the people who they lay down on the street like trash. Nobody wants them except Jesus Christ. And
Galvan set up Vision en Accion on a shoestring, starting with only a dozen patients. But now his family, as he describes them, has over 100 members. Some of them have been brought in by the families who cannot deal with them. Some have simply been found on the streets, or brought in by the border authorities or the police, such as 16-year-old Gustavo, who has just tried to kill his mother. The pastor tells Gustavo about his experiences as an addict and a gang member to help him relax and know that he is not alone, that others have suffered like him. Gustavo is put into a cell until he can be trusted. Josue Rosales, an ex-gang member, heroin dealer and addict who was close to death on arrival. Josue tells us he had gangrene on his arm due to shooting up so much heroin, and he was dressed in a nappy as he was completely incontinent.
I did use heroin for 30 years. I grew up in LA and I started using over there. I was dealing it and then I started using it and then I started dying. I got 5 operations in here. My fingers, they got gangrene on it because circulation was bad.
In the past, narco gangs have targeted addiction centers in Juarez, on one occasion executing 10 young addicts in cold blood. The pastor explains that there is always a threat of violence, especially as the charity has so many ex-gang members, but that he hopes the fact Vision en Accion is so far out of town lends them some protection. Both the pastor and Josue are adamant the charity will never close, no matter what the threat.
It's very simple. Mexican helping Mexicans. That's all. Love. Loving people. That's the best prescription we can have. Love is other. And thanks to the Center of Social Justice, and all the audience and all the people who be watching this video. This is beautiful family. Crazy people helping crazy people.